A lot of times in your legal practice, the stuff that you and your team members complete depend on certain key dates in the life cycle of the case. This could be, for example, trial or court hearing dates, filing deadlines, discovery timelines, or certain client reporting obligations. Often, firms rely on their admin staff to keep track and monitor these deadlines and notify the relevant team members about the tasks they need to complete to make sure that all of them are complied accordingly. The issue with this is that does add to the admin overhead, as your team needs to spend time and their attention monitoring all these dates, and also means that there is a potential for human error, where somebody would forget about a key task that needs to be completed, and that will ultimately lead to worse client experience. Fear not, however, because automation can help here. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can set up a Clio Manage automation that will allow you to track certain key dates on your case, for example, any trial dates, and then create tasks on a predefined schedule based on that date. So, for example, for a trial, 30 days before it could be to gather and organize exhibits for the responsible attorney, 14 days before to prepare the opening statement, and 7 days before to do a final document review. Now, these tasks will be dynamic, meaning that if the trial date shifts into the future, is rescheduled, then you won't need to manually update all of those tasks with their respective due dates. As well, you'll be able to customize it depending on your practice area and have as flexible of a scenario as you may need for your specific practice. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can set up this automation in make.com. We'll walk you through it. And if you want to get started straight away, I've also prepared a free template for you to just import it into your account. You can find it in the link down below or in my bio. Let's get going. Hey there, my name is Martin Kravchenko and I'm the CTO at Swans, where we help law firm owners get their time back and grow their practice by implementing the right operational systems in place and putting the right technical tools to use. Let's get going. The first step in this would be to set up the dates that you want to track actually in Clio Manage. You can do this by going to Settings, then Custom Fields, and over here create the fields that you would need to be tracking. So in this case, for example, I created a new custom field on the matter called trial date, which is of type date, and it's also default, meaning it will apply to all new and existing matters. Now, this trial date will need to be input manually by your team, right? So for example, in this case, so 4 cases over here, I have already set them, a few in January and one in March, April. Now, the data for these fields will need to be manually entered by your team, but once that is done, the system will take care of the rest. We'll do the work for you in terms of actually creating those tasks related to it. So in this case over here, for example, I have already set a few trial dates. A few of them are in January and one of them is in April. Let's actually go to one of these cases over here. We have a zoning dispute. We have a trial date on the 28th of January. And today's date is December 29th of 2024. Let's assume that we now want to create an automation that will, 30 days before the trial date, create a task for the responsible attorney to prepare the exhibits for the trial. Let's hop into our automation. I'll explain exactly how it works. Now, the first step over here that I employed is a router. A router simply means that the execution session will be split in multiple paths and one or several routes after it will get executed. Now, this is not strictly necessary, but will help you if you want to create multiple tasks, for example, 30 days before and then 14 days before and something else, to not have to create separate automations for each one of those, but rather have everything in here and you just have multiple routes responsible for each one of those tasks. All right, so after that, we have our first module, which is searching matters. It is a custom API call that we are doing to the Clio Manage API. And what we are doing over here may look a bit cryptic, but let me explain exactly how it works. We are looking up all the matters that have their custom field value of trial date, and this is a unique identifier for it. I'll explain in just a second how you can get it for your account, is 30 days from now. right? So we are adding 30 days to today's date, and we are formatting in the correct format, essentially, that the API understands, i.e. year, months, and then the date. What this will return to us is a list of all the matters in our account that have, in this case, the trial date being the 28th of January, right? If we go to our matter list, we actually have two of them. It's this one Reynolds and then the Ericsson one over here. And as expected, we got these two matters over here from the API. Now, the question is, how do you get this unique ID for this custom field so you can actually query on it? To do this, we have this other module over here. It won't be part of the actual scenario execution, but it's just included over here so that you can also run it easily for your account. How you can do so is you can simply take this clock over here, move it to this other module, and now you'll be able to execute it. So what this does, it as well makes a custom API call to Clio Manage API, and it simply gets all the information about the custom fields that you have enabled on your account. And so if we run this, we'll get an array of all the custom fields with their ID and their name, right? So for example, in this case, the trial date has this ID and then 251. And so now if we move this back, we can fill this ID over here with this number, the 251, and that will now work for our account. So all right, so we're getting all the matters that have the trial date, let's say in 30 days. What we then want to do is we want to iterate on them, right? We want to execute certain actions, i.e. creating the task for each one of those matters. What we do then is we employ this iterate block and flow control and inbuilt a make.com module that will iterate on the data that we are receiving from the API. And again, the data will contain the ID of the matter, its display number, and also ETAG. We don't really need to worry about that. After this, what we are doing is for each one of the matters that we have found, we are getting the information about all of their fields, right? So this will include things such as the client name, the responsible attorney, the originating attorney, any other custom fields that you may have defined. And then we are creating the task, right? And in this case, for example, I have opted to have a dynamic assignment to the user, right? So in this case, we are assigning it to the responsible attorney on the case. This could also be essentially hard-coded and assigned to a specific person, for example, your paralegal. We can then set the name, right? In this case, it's trial, gather, and organize exhibits. We can set a description. We can set when do you want the task to be due. It could be, for example, today. In this case, you just set now. If you would want it, for example, in 3 days, you can also easily do so and say add days 3 respective to today's date. In the matter ID, it's important that we pass the ID of the matter that we have over here in step number 5, or actually in step number 7 as well, the matter ID that this task needs to be linked to. We can also select if we want to notify the assignee, if you want to notify about the completion, priority status, task type ID, if you have set those, time estimated, all the things that you expect as well in the Clio Manage UI. And essentially these two modules will get executed for each one of the matters that our search has found. And so actually let's run this now and see how it works in practice. Again, in our account, we have two matters, this Ericsson and Reynolds, that have their trial date on the 28th of January, i.e. 30 days from now. If we go to the matter details, we can see that on one of them, the responsible attorney is Laura, and also there are no outstanding tasks to be completed. And on the other one, the responsible attorney is myself, and again, no outstanding tasks to be completed. So let's run the automation and see exactly how it works. Let's click run once. All right, so we got the two matters from this first search matters module. After that, we iterated on them, and these modules were executed twice, once for each one of those matters. Let's actually go and check that out. So on the Reynolds, as you can see, has been assigned to Laura as the responsible attorney. The trial and gather organize exhibits. So in this first case, Reynolds, you can see the new task has been created. It has been set 3 days from now, i.e. in the 1st of January, as we have specified, and it has also been assigned to Laura as the responsible attorney. If you now go to the other case, it is a very similar setup, but in this case, it has been assigned to me as I was set as a responsible attorney on the matter. Fantastic. Great. So how do we then actually make sure that this automation runs? What I would do then is I would simply change up the schedule of the automation. I would make it run every day. And let's say, for example, we want to run it at 3 a.m. in the morning. Just set in 3 a.m. over here. And you can click activate the scenario. And so what this will do, it will run daily at 3 a.m. It will check every day, look for matters that have the trial date set in 30 days from now. If it doesn't find anything that it wants to create any tasks, if it finds one or more matters, then a task for each one of them will be created as we have specified in this module over here. Now, what if we want to add more tasks, right? So for example, we have the gather and organize exhibit 30 days before the trial date. Let's say we also now want another task created 15 days before the trial date to prepare the opening statements, to draft the opening statement, right? So how do we do that? Actually, quite simple. As I have already defined the router over here, what you can simply do is you can right click on here, click select whole branch. It will select all of these modules over here, and then click copy, and then click paste, right? So this will paste essentially all of these over here. Make sure it doesn't get connected to this other module over here. You can just drag it further away, and then connect this first module over here to the router. You can then click auto align, so it will make it a bit more pretty. And so just like this, we have copied this route over here onto the second one. And now, for example, we can rename actually it to, let's say, minus 15 days. And that will be draft opening statements. And then let's reconfigure some of these modules. So for example, for the search matters, right? It will now be, instead of 30 days, it will be 15 days from now to the trial date. And then the actual task that is being created, let's rename this to draft opening statement. And let's say we have just one person responsible for that. So in this case, instead of mapping the user ID, I will simply hard code it here and select a specific person, let's say myself. The due date, let's say, should be straight away on that same day. Again, you can update the description. The matter ID has already been populated with the previous module, so that's all good. And let's say this is a high priority task, right? Let's click save. And just like this, we now have added another task to the mix. Now, whenever we run this automation, it will execute both routes, right? So it will look first for matters that trial date is 30 days from now. After it has done that, it will look for matters that have the trial date 15 days from now. Now, in your testing, if you want, for example, right, we have already run it for today, right? And we have those already 2 matters created that the task have been created for them. In this case, again, just for testing purposes, you can disable one of these routes. And so that means that whenever you execute it, this route won't get executed again, and we'll only focus on the one that we actually tested. Let's take a look at our matter list. And as you can see over here, we have this Skyline Realty matter that has a trial date on the 12th of January, i.e. 15 days from now. Let's actually open it up. If we go to task, we can see that there is nothing outstanding. Let's go to our automation, execute it, and see if it finds that matter. Let's click run once. And actually, I think I have made an error in the calculations. It actually should be the 13th, 15 days from now. Let me fix that. As you can see, well, if it doesn't find any matters, then these steps won't get executed, right? You won't get any kind of error. Simply no tasks are to be created. All right, let's mark this as 13th of January. Now that we have the math right, and click run once again. All right, so in this case, it had found that matter. As you can see, Skyline Realty, and it has created the task. So let's go to our tasks section over here. And just like that, you can see that has been a task assigned to me. Trial draft opening statement. The due date is today, as we have specified. And it has also been marked as high priority. And just like this, you can replicate this process at as many routes as you would need. If you also have other fields that you want to be tracking, you can then easily do that. You can create another custom field, for example, for the discovery deadline, right? And then whenever you search for the matters, you will then replace the ID of the custom field for the discovery deadline with that new field ID, and obviously set up, whatever the value of that actual date should be, 15 days from now, 30 days from now, etc. What you can also do is, after you have found the matters, you can potentially also filter them or have different routes as well for different practice areas, right? So for example, you only want to create trial deadlines or trial tasks related to trial dates for real estate cases, right? In this case, you can then specify, you can add a filter over here, for example, to only consider those matters that pertain to that particular practice area, and ultimately have as much flexibility as you need to fit into your specific law firm process. Now, you don't have to, again, rebuild all of this from scratch. I have included a free template of this automation that you can just install in your account and change up the connections, change up the custom field ID, and already get going. You can find it down below or in my bio, completely free of charge. If you have any questions or issues that you face with this automation, please do let me know. I would be very happy to help. I hope that you have found this video helpful. Thank you very much for watching, and like and subscribe to see more videos just like this. Thank you.